All right, so going on with the program now, I am very excited. When this man said yes, it was like, okay. And he just really, once I had him, he's well connected and knows everyone. They're like, oh, sure, I'd love to participate. So thank you, John, for saying yes. So Dr. John Wensveen is the president of the International Space University, ISU, in Strasbourg, France. Leading the premier global institution dedicated to space education, innovation, and international collaboration. Under his leadership, ISU is expanding its role as a catalyst for groundbreaking research and strategic partnerships that shape the future of space exploration. Prior to ISU, John served as Chief Innovative Officer at Nova Southeastern University, NSU, where he spearheaded a multi-million-dollar innovation hub that attracted top entrepreneurs, cutting-edge technologies, and major investments. He has held leadership roles in academia, including Vice Provost at Miami-Dade College, Professor and Head of the School of Aviation at Purdue University, and Dean of Aviation at Dowling College. John's industry expertise spans aviation, aerospace, and business strategy with executive roles at Mango haven't heard of that one. Mango Aviation Partners, Radix International, MaxJet Airways, and Canada 3000 Airlines. He is a TEDx speaker, media contributor, and author of 2 leading industry books, including the bestseller, Air Transportation, A Global Management Perspective. John holds a PhD and master's degree from Cardiff University in the UK and a BA from the University of Victoria in Canada. I did not know that, John. We're going to have to talk about that as a Canadian. So without further ado, I give you John Wensveen.
Well, good morning. Just before we get underway, I have a quick funny story, maybe not so funny. So I spent the night here at the Radisson last night, and at about 11:45, I shut my lights out and I was just going to sleep. At 11:50, the bed started rattling, the windows started shaking, and I was like, wait a minute, it's gotta be a launch, and I did not know. At 11:55, 2 ladies were running down the hallway, banging on everybody's door, yelling and screaming, "Earthquake, earthquake, earthquake." I very kindly went out into the hallway to let them know that they were on the Space Coast and that this is the center of rocket launches, and that was a rocket, and wasn't an explosion, it wasn't an earthquake, and no bombs were being dropped, and they had no idea that they were in the middle of a spaceport. Now, they were from out of state. I'm not going to name the one, but there are a lot of jokes about that particular state that were just reinforced last night, and they were waiting to go on a cruise this weekend. So, bon voyage and happy sailing, and now they know, but it was an interesting experience last night as well for me. Okay, let's make sure I got my slides going here. Sorry, my clicker is about an 8-second delay. Okay, we're at the title page, so this is good. So officially, good morning. Liftoff, how disruption drives the future of the new space economy. Let's begin with a bold premise. We are standing at the edge of new space, a new space age, not just an evolution of what's come before, but a radical shift driven by disruption. Why liftoff? This isn't just a metaphorical terminology. Liftoff symbolizes the explosive moment when momentum overcomes gravity, when vision meets execution. That's precisely where the new space economy is today. Disruption isn't chaos, it's fuel. In the space sector, it's what's driving unprecedented innovation. From reusable rockets and private space stations to data-driven satellite services and space-based manufacturing. We're not just expanding technology, we're reshaping markets, governance models, and the very concept of access to space. The new space economy is global, inclusive, and fiercely entrepreneurial. In this presentation, I will walk you through how disruption is no longer a side effect, it's the engine. We'll explore how trends, transformative players, and what leaders and institutions are doing in order to stay ahead. We begin by distinguishing innovation from disruption. Innovation redefines and improves existing systems. Disruption reimagines and replaces them entirely. In the space domain, disruption is accelerating thanks to rapid commercialization, lower launch costs, and the convergence of multiple technologies across sectors. This distinction matters. Innovation enhances the past, disruption creates the future. We'll examine the technologies that are redefining the space economy. We'll explore ethics, regulation, and the demand for new skill sets and systems thinking across the space workforce. We'll look at how convergence of biotechnology, robotics, AI, and quantum technologies is reshaping the space sector, including soldering, which we do offer, by the way, at the International Space University. 38 years ago, ISU was founded on 3 I's: international, intercultural, interdisciplinary, and now we have a 4th I, innovation. We embed the I's in everything that we do. Disruption doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's fueled by cross-disciplinary breakthroughs. In engineering, we see this through propulsion innovation, modular satellite designs, robotics, and growing AI integration in mission architecture and control. Scientific discovery propels space exploration, whether it's planetary missions, Earth observations, or environmental sensing. Disruption is expanding our reach with autonomous systems, real-time analytics, and predictive science. As we move further into space, the human body becomes a central engineering challenge. Biotech advancements, radiation protection, and adaptive health monitoring are crucial to sustaining life beyond Earth. Innovation demands governance. Disruptive tech forces us to rethink legal frameworks and how we regulate dual-use capabilities, protect sovereignty, and shape emerging norms in space ethics and accountability. Disruption often begins at the business model level. From space as a service to private stations and orbital logistics, new ventures are reshaping investment strategies, intellectual property rights, and global competition. Space is not just an engineering frontier, it's a human one. Issues of inclusion, cultural heritage, justice, and long-term societal impacts must be part of our exploration from day one. Right here on the Space Coast, we see systems thinking in action, linking NASA, industry, academia, and startups. This integrative mindset helps anticipate disruption, navigate complexity, and build resilience across entire ecosystems. So let's frame the arc of space progress. This timeline tells a very powerful story, from the birth of rocketry in the 20th century to the dynamic and disruptive future that's being built right now. Each era represents more than technological growth. It reflects expanded ambition, broader global collaboration, and new models of participation. Pre-1950s to the 1970s, from foundations to the space race. We began with the foundational physics of rocketry, leading to Sputnik, human spaceflight, and the Apollo moon landings, a chapter defined by Cold War dynamics, national prestige, and governmental-driven missions. From the 1980s to the 2000s, this is the shuttle and space station era. The space shuttle and the ISS ushered in reusability, international collaboration, and long durations living in space. Florida became the physical heart of this evolution, launching nearly every major crewed mission of the era. From the 2000s to the 2020s, this is the rise of commercial spaceflight. Here, disruption took hold. Companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin redefined cost structures, timelines, and innovation cycles. Satellite mega constellations introduced a scalable, infrastructure-first mindset. Florida's launch infrastructure enabled this commercial renaissance, transforming the Space Coast into a hybrid launch economy. From the 2020s to the 2030s, which we are now in, this is current trends and near future projections. Artemis, human Mars missions, and commercial space tourism blend public ambition with private execution. These aren't science fiction, they're prototyped, funded, and launching from this very region. The 2030s and beyond, the transformative horizon. The road ahead includes lunar Mars bases, settlements potentially on constellations in space, and a thriving orbital economy, where space becomes a platform for research, production, and trade, not just exploration. The future isn't a distant dream. It's already underway. And the disruptors that we support and empower today, right here on the Space Coast, are the architects of humanity's next great leap. We're not merely heading into an age of technological progress. We're already in a collision course between human systems and intelligent machines. By 2030, the lines between biological and artificial intelligence will be increasingly blurred, especially in space. This isn't about a single breakthrough. It's about the convergence of digital, physical, and biological technologies all accelerating at once. Think AI, robotics, genomics, advanced materials, working together across space missions, orbital infrastructure, and planetary exploration. What used to take decades now takes months. We are witnessing rapid iteration, disruptive prototypes, and the constant leapfrogging of innovation cycles. Here on the Space Coast, this pace is evident in how fast companies are moving from concept to launch. Sovereignty, labor, economics. Space is forcing us to reimagine them all. Who governs lunar outposts? What defines a Martian economy? How do we recruit and train a multiplanetary workforce? Space is no longer siloed. Major developments in artificial intelligence, climate science, biotech, and materials engineering are colliding with space exploration, shaping entirely new markets and capabilities. Space is no longer siloed. Major developments in artificial intelligence, climate science, biotech, materials engineering are colliding with space exploration, shaping entirely new markets and capabilities. I repeated that twice on purpose. The reason I said that is because at the last conference I spoke at, this was a class assignment for one of our space studies programs, and they didn't hear a thing that I said, and they came back with, "Did you not listen to the question?" So I wanted to reinforce that twice. Our education systems, regulatory structures, and funding mechanisms were designed for a slower era. They now lag behind the velocity of disruption happening both in orbit and here on the ground. The space economy isn't just reflecting broader transformation, it's accelerating it. It serves as both a proving ground and a launch pad for global societal change. We're witnessing a generational shift from government-led space missions to private sector momentum. Today, it's commercial players who are leading satellite launches, lunar landers, and even tourism, injecting agility, competition, and innovation into the sector. Here on Florida's Space Coast, that transition is unfolding in real time, from legacy NASA infrastructure to a launch cadence driven by SpaceX, Blue Origin, and others. Smaller, smarter satellites like CubeSats and microsats are lowering the barrier to entry. Startups, universities, and emerging nations are now participants in space missions, not just spectators. This democratization is helping diversify who innovates and who benefits. Earth observation is becoming mission critical. Satellites track everything from carbon emissions to ocean health and wildlife patterns, providing the data infrastructure for climate resilience and environmental stewardship. While the US continues to lead, global investment is expanding rapidly. Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and Africa are emerging as new innovation nodes and funding ecosystems. This decentralization strengthens the space economy and creates new opportunities for international partnerships, including those launching from Florida. Digital technologies like artificial intelligence, edge computing, and cloud-based mission control are revolutionizing operations, from spacecraft telemetry to autonomous decision-making. Cybersecurity, too, is no longer optional. It's foundational. And quite honestly, that's the number one thing that keeps me up at night: talent and cyber. Quantum communication, next-gen propulsion, in-space manufacturing, and synthetic biology are not sci-fi concepts anymore. They're real technologies actively being tested and deployed. The legal and regulatory landscape for space remains fragmented, outdated, and reactive. Issues like orbital debris management, national sovereignty in space, and commercial usage rights lack clear international standards. Without regulatory clarity, innovation stalls, capital hesitates, and risk increases for startups and established players alike. As global demand for orbital access surges, infrastructure is struggling to keep pace. Launch pads are backlogged, ground systems are under strain, and manufacturing is unevenly scaled. Even here on the Space Coast, despite major investment, we face growing pressure on launch cadence, logistics, and turnaround time. We're facing a widening talent gap. The future of space requires far more than aerospace engineers. It calls for systems thinkers, AI specialists, cybersecurity experts, sustainability strategists, and interdisciplinary leaders. Florida's educational institutions and workforce development programs are key to closing this gap and must scale accordingly. Despite growing investment interest, many space ventures remain pre-profit, highly speculative, or heavily reliant on government contracts. Market saturation, shifting geopolitical alliances, and certain ROI continue to make the funding landscape volatile, especially for small to mid-sized players. Disruption is no longer just technological, it's geopolitical, environmental, and systemic. The space economy must be built for resilience with redundancy, agility, and anti-fragility designed from the start. That's especially critical in a state like Florida, where climate risks and national security are both front and center. Technology is both a force multiplier and a risk factor. Unchecked or misused, AI, autonomous systems, and quantum technologies could introduce more problems than they solve. We must build not just faster systems, but more ethical, transparent, and trustworthy ones. These are my robots that I used to have, so that's why they're there in a former role. AI robots, so they're amazing. Disruptive technologies don't just improve existing systems, they fundamentally transform them. They create entirely new markets, displace incumbents, and redefine what's possible. In space, examples include reusable launch vehicles, low-cost satellite constellations, autonomous mission control, and in-space manufacturing. These aren't enhancements, they rewrite the rules. Innovation is doing things better. Disruption is doing things differently, so differently that the old way can't compete. Think of innovation as a faster train. Disruption is inventing the airplane. SpaceX didn't just create a better rocket. They re-engineered the economics of launch, accelerated development timelines, and opened the sky to a new generation of players. Several factors are converging: exponential advances in technology, digital integration, cross-sector synergies, and the decentralization of both capital and expertise. Artificial intelligence, edge computing, quantum technologies are transforming how we make decisions in space, onboard spacecraft, in mission control centers, and across the entire data pipeline. From autonomous navigation to anomaly detection, digital intelligence is no longer optional. It's the core of next-generation missions. Additive manufacturing, in-space fabrication, and the use of smart, lightweight materials are enabling faster, cheaper, and more agile hardware. Picture 3D printer lunar habitats or modular spacecraft built and reconfigured directly in orbit. This is no longer a theoretical future. Space is not just an engineering frontier, it's a biological one. Breakthroughs in biotech are essential for long-duration human missions, supporting radiation protection, synthetic biology, and organ-on-a-chip systems for health monitoring. The intersection of human biology and space environments is giving rise to entirely new fields of research. Electric and nuclear thermal propulsion systems are redefining how far and how fast we can travel, cutting transit times and expanding mission windows. Solar arrays, energy harvesting platforms, and adaptive power storage are also being optimized for extreme space environments. Swarming satellites, autonomous servicing, robotic debris removal, and lunar construction are turning science fiction into operational reality. Smart, self-directed robotic systems are expanding our reach while minimizing human risk. Augmented reality, virtual reality, and haptic feedback are reinventing astronaut training, mission planning, and real-time control of remote systems. Cyber-physical systems, where digital networks are embedded in physical space systems, are enabling smart habitats, encrypted communications, and resilient adaptive space infrastructure. The fusion of digital and physical is the architecture of a truly space-based economy. Some of the most transformative space technologies of the next decade haven't even been invented yet. The most adaptive advancements often occur at the edges, where disciplines converge and imagination meets science. Consider these possible intersections: AI and synthetic biology, adaptive organisms engineered to survive and function in off-world environments, essential for planetary colonization, quantum computing and neuroscience, novel forms of intelligence, possibly conscious, optimized for autonomous interplanetary exploration. biophysics and material science, living, self-repairing habitats, capable of growing in response to environmental extremes on the moon or Mars. The unique challenges of lunar, Martian, and deep space environments will push us to invent tools and technologies that simply don't apply here on Earth. Some of space's most useful tools will be born outside the aerospace sector. Immersive tech from gaming, behavioral AI from entertainment platforms, and real-time simulation from social media systems are already reshaping space training, operations, and public engagement. The convergence of consumer tech and space exploration is accelerating, and Florida Space Coast is positioned to benefit from this cross-pollination. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are transforming how we confront uncertainty in space. While some future technologies remain undiscovered, AI already helps us simulate scenarios, test the limits of current systems, and accelerate discovery. In many ways, AI serves as a bridge between what we know, what we suspect, and what we haven't even imagined yet. AI enables us to design systems that respond autonomously to real-time conditions in space, where human latency isn't viable and failure is not an option. Technologies like computer vision, behavioral modeling, and natural language processing are being adapted for astronaut training, mission simulation, and immersive public engagement. The shift is already defining what's possible in the new space economy, and the Space Coast is part of that frontier. Quantum technologies is poised to transform secure space-based networking. By harnessing quantum entanglement, it offers virtually unbreakable encryption, essential as space assets become increasingly cyber vulnerable. Beyond security, quantum sensing promises breakthrough capabilities in gravitational field detection, resource mapping, and deep space navigation, especially the GPS-denied environments like lunar or Martian terrain. Traditional computers struggle with the complexity of multi-body orbital dynamics. Quantum computing has the potential to solve these problems at unprecedented speed and scale. As quantum capabilities mature, expect dramatic shifts in how we plan and operate missions from right here on the Space Coast. SpaceX has fundamentally rewritten the economics of launch. With the Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy, and now Starship, they've proven that rapid reusability drives down cost and accelerates access. They didn't just build rockets, they defined the cadence, culture, and cost model of orbital transportation. Blue Origin is pursuing a long-term strategy, systems like New Shepard and upcoming New Glenn, focusing on reusability, vertical integration, and enabling both tourism and commercial payload services. Relativity is using 3D printing to build up 90% of its rockets, drastically reducing production time, material waste, and cost. This on-demand manufacturing model could become the standard for agile launch services, and they've chosen Florida as a key launch and production site. Reusable launch vehicles have compressed timelines from months to days. Access to orbit is now faster, more frequent, and increasingly democratized. This revolution isn't theoretical. It's happening here on the Space Coast, where legacy infrastructure meets the most advanced launch systems on Earth. In-space manufacturing is one of the most disruptive transformations reshaping how we think about space logistics, infrastructure, and operational autonomy. By 2030, we anticipate seeing advanced on-orbit fabrication capabilities tested and scaled, potentially aboard the International Space Station or its commercial successors. In terms of future applications, let's look at space cities. Additive manufacturing will enable the modular assembly of orbital habitats, research platforms, and commercial hubs produced in space for space. Moon and Mars bases will be a reality. Transporting fully built structures from Earth is unsustainable. On-site fabrication using regolith, local materials, or printable feedstock will be essential to build resilient lunar and Martian outposts. Customizable, radiation-shielded, and lightweight habitats printed in zero gravity will be key to long-duration living in space and on planetary surfaces. Microgravity is opening the door to bioprinting, complex issues, and eventually functional organs for astronaut medical support. This breakthrough also has Earthside implications, accelerating regenerative medicine, advancing aging research, and helping us understand how biology evolves into extraterrestrial conditions. Florida Space Coast is becoming a test bed for many of these technologies, where launch, logistics, and material science converge to support a new paradigm, not just launching to space, but building in it. Small sats are no longer standalone instruments. They function as coordinated swarms. This swarm architecture enables distributed sensing, built-in redundancy, and real-time responsiveness across satellite clusters. It's scalable, cost-efficient, and highly resilient, perfect for applications like Earth observation, space weather monitoring, and global communications. Edge computing moves data processing closer to the source, onboard the satellite itself. This slashes latency, boosts bandwidth efficiency, and enables autonomous decision-making in real time. In space, that means satellites can detect anomalies, reroute tasks, or deliver actionable insights instantly without waiting on ground-based analysis. Starlink, developed by SpaceX, has radically redefined global connectivity. With thousands of satellites in low Earth orbit, it's delivering broadband to remote areas, maritime operations, disaster zones, and military theaters. But more than that, it's a live demonstration of vertically integrated, iterative, and scalable satellite deployment. The infrastructure is in orbit, but the innovation engine is right here on the Space Coast. The human body wasn't built for space, but synthetic biology and biotechnology are helping us adapt. Researchers are exploring ways to enhance astronaut resilience, from genetic therapies to biologically engineered solutions designed specifically for the challenges of off-world living. Cosmic radiation remains one of the greatest threats to long-duration missions. Synthetic biology may offer tools to boost DNA repair mechanisms or even encode radiation resistance into human cells, turning our biology into a defense system. Microgravity significantly alters human physiology, causing muscle atrophy, bone loss, and weakened immunity. Tailored products, gene-based therapies, and other biologically driven inventions are being developed to preserve astronaut health and performance over long durations. Biotechnologies are enabling regenerative life support systems, recycling air, water, and waste through engineered microlabs and advanced biofilters. These closed-loop systems are critical for reducing payload mass and enabling sustainable operations on the Moon, Mars, and deep space missions. Space is becoming a new frontier of drug development. Microgravity affects biological processes like crystallization, making it possible to create purer and more effective compounds. With Florida's growing footprint in life sciences and space R&D, the Space Coast has the potential to become a hub for space medicine, bioengineering, and astronaut health innovation. Extended reality, spanning augmented, virtual, and mixed reality, is transforming how astronauts and mission operators train and prepare. Fully immersive simulations now allow for high-fidelity rehearsals of spacewalks, emergency procedures, and spacecraft operations, dramatically improving mission readiness while reducing physical risk and cost. Digital twins are dynamic, real-time digital replicas of physical systems like spacecraft, life support systems, and even astronaut suits, powered by live sensor data. They allow engineers to monitor health, predict failures, and integrate designs from Earth in real time, supporting missions with maximum efficiency and minimum latency. From Cape Canaveral to Orlando's simulation and gaming industries, Florida is uniquely positioned to lead the integration of XR and digital twin technology into the global space ecosystem. The traditional model of space as a capital-heavy, hardware-driven industry is giving way to space as a service, where access to orbital infrastructure, satellite data, or mission support is delivered as a flexible pay-as-you-go utility. From real-time satellite imaging to on-demand cloud-based mission control, customers are paying for outcomes, not ownership. Borrowing from the digital economy, subscription-based business models are emerging across space verticals, Earth observation, connectivity, and analytics. This recurring revenue approach allows space companies to scale sustainably while lowering entry barriers for small businesses, NGOs, and local governments needing space-derived insights. Innovation is no longer the domain of just a few. Crowdsourcing allows organizations to tap into global talent pools, solving challenges in mission design, anomaly detection, planetary science, and more. Open platforms, APIs, and collaborative ecosystems are becoming standard in the space economy. When companies share data, tools, and research frameworks, it unlocks new ideas and accelerates discovery. Open innovation isn't just a feel-good philosophy. It's a competitive advantage, reducing development cycles, boosting interoperability, and fueling inclusive cross-sector momentum. Here on the Space Coast, these models are actively being tested, whether it's commercial satellite services operating from Florida launch pads or startups leveraging open source Earth data to build climate tools, agriculture models, and AI applications. Startup accelerators are energizing the space economy by compressing the journey from bold idea to market-ready solution, both figuratively and literally. Incubators provide the deep tech scaffolding, lab space, technical infrastructure, and long-term advisory for startups tackling capital and regulation-intensive problems. High net worth individuals and specialized angel investors are increasingly entering the space economy. They bring not just funding, but often aerospace experience and strategic insight. This kind of early capital is essential to help ventures survive the valley of death between research and revenue. VCs are no longer watching the space sector from the sidelines. They're active participants, investing in propulsion tech, data analytic platforms, satellite operations, and lunar logistics. Governments are evolving from exclusive developers to strategic anchor customers. Florida Space Coast is already hosting accelerator-backed startups, defense-backed ventures, and NASA-linked pilots. This region can serve as a launch pad, not just for rockets, but for more companies and capital flows driving the next wave of the space economy. Technologies like artificial intelligence and quantum computing are inherently dual use. They can power incredible scientific breakthroughs or pose strategic and ethical risks if misused. In the space domain, these technologies raise urgent questions about oversight, accountability, and global governance. We need ethical frameworks in place before deployment reaches scale. As we move deeper into space, we must shift from a frontier mentality to a stewardship mindset. That means long-term thinking, managing orbital traffic, preserving scientific environments, and ensuring that space resources aren't exploited without oversight or responsibility. Space debris is not just a distant future threat, it's a present crisis. With tens of thousands of satellites planned or already in orbit, a lack of standardized end-of-life planning could jeopardize operational safety, orbital availability, and insurability. The new space economy must not just deepen the digital or technological divide. Access to education, capital, and participation, especially for underrepresented groups and regions such as the Global South, must be part of the design, not an afterthought. As a global gateway to space operations, Florida has a unique opportunity to lead not just technologically, but ethically. The Space Coast can model what inclusive, sustainable, and forward-thinking space development truly looks like. We are at the threshold of a profound transformation, shifting from state-led model to a hybrid space ecosystem powered by public-private partnerships. Private sector leadership is expanding fast, from launch services and satellite mega constellations to in-orbit servicing and space-based manufacturing. Space tourism, once a novelty, is on track to become normalized, spurring parallel innovation in areas like space hospitality, health technologies, and insurance products tailored to off-world risk. The global space economy is projected to exceed $1 trillion, driven by expanded infrastructure, satellite data services, and deep space commercial ventures. New markets, cybersecurity, climate tech, immersive entertainment, and interplanetary logistics will emerge alongside existing ones, generating millions of jobs worldwide. This isn't just about rockets. It's about entire economic sectors forming to support life and work beyond Earth. Satellite capabilities are advancing exponentially, with longer operational life, higher bandwidth, and AI-enabled autonomy becoming standard. Reusable rockets are no longer a novelty. They're becoming the baseline. And with rapid iteration cycles, borrowed from the software world, hardware development in space is becoming faster, cheaper, and more responsive to user needs. The Space Coast sits at the epicenter of this evolution, supporting launch infrastructure, innovation labs, workforce development, and global partnerships that will shape the next era of the new space economy. The ISU satellite campus model represents a bold commitment to democratizing access to space education and innovation, region by region, across the planet. These emerging hubs in North America, LATAM, APAC, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa aren't just satellite locations that we're building. They are strategically designed engines of regional impact, anchored in local relevance and connected to global opportunity. As part of this model, ISU is actively seeking to establish its North American headquarters right here in Florida on the Space Coast, a region already synonymous with space innovation, commercial launch, and aerospace leadership. This would not only expand our footprint in the US, but embed ISU at the heart of one of the world's most dynamic space ecosystems. Each campus will be co-developed in partnership with local governments, universities, and industry leaders. This ensures credibility, customization, and long-term viability. At ISU, collaboration isn't a tactic, it's principle. We're building an integrated ecosystem, not isolated outposts. ISU will offer a portfolio of programs in each geographic area that I mentioned around the world, preparing professionals to lead in a rapidly evolving global space economy. This circular framework illustrates the interconnected nature of the space innovation landscape, linking space agencies, private aerospace, startups, regulators, media, academia, investors, and beyond. We are living through a historic convergence. Digital, physical, and biological technologies are no longer evolving in isolation. They're fusing it into entirely new capabilities. Innovation no longer moves at a steady pace. Decades-long cycles have collapsed into months, even weeks, thanks to real-time collaboration, open-source ecosystems, and exponential feedback loops. This means disruption isn't a moment, it's a mode of operation. The space economy is being rewritten in real time. Commercial players are leading, small systems are scaling, and new technologies are unlocking access to more players than ever before. We're transitioning from space into an elite frontier to a platform of global infrastructure and opportunity. But exponential progress brings exponential pressure. We still face real barriers: fragmented regulation, limited launch capability, talent gaps, and a volatile investment landscape. Innovation without integration risks collapse. We need a smart system, agile policy, and resilient infrastructure. Space reflects who we are and what we value: sustainability, equity, and shared progress. But it also accelerates innovation by forcing us to solve problems under extreme constraints. It's not just a destination, it's a proving ground for the future of humanity. So I leave you with this challenge. The future is here, and I ask yourself this question: what are you doing about it? This isn't just a report on disruption, it's a call to lead it. We are standing at a threshold moment where the fusion of digital, physical, and biological technologies is not just accelerating innovation, but redefining the very meaning of progress. We are witnessing a new industrial era, a redefined workforce, a reshaped global economy, and we need leaders. We need visionaries, builders, policy architects, creative thinkers, cross-sector collaborators. And I promise you, this is the last slide. We are no longer waiting for the future of space. It's already unfolding around us. And disruption is the engine that's propelling us forward. Disruption isn't chaos. It's opportunity reframed by courage. It is the spark that allows vision to outrun inertia and collaboration to transcend borders, sectors, and silos. And there's no better place to ask what comes next than right here on Florida's Space Coast, a region that not only launches rockets, but ideas, partnerships, careers, and a legacy of bold exploration. Florida continues to lead, not just in launches, but in educational innovation, commercial opportunity, and global collaboration. Thank you.